It's time I talk about it. It's time to talk about why I chose Christ at 16 years old. Everybody have a testimony, and today I'm finna let y'all know mine. We're gonna go back kind of to the beginning. We're not gonna go too deep, but we're gonna go deep. We're gonna start off of when I used to go to church when I was younger. I used to go to church every Sunday with my grandma. I didn't know much, and I didn't pay attention much. Truthfully, I only went to church for the cookies and lemonade they used to have. But yeah, I would go to church every Sunday with my grandma, and I would do that all the way up until I was probably about 10 or 11, right? Then boom, I stopped going to church, and you know, I was just living life. I was a kid, you feel me? And I didn't really think much about God. I didn't think much about if God is real. I didn't think nothing about that. I didn't know much either. You can say I didn't know nothing. And then I turned around 12 and 13. I end up hearing some things and seeing some things on the internet about demons and other spirituality and things like that, bro. I started just seeing other things and getting another perspective. So I started watching videos about the universe and all these things, bro. Just a whole different perspective on spirituality. And it wasn't God that I was learning about, but it was more so something that was separated from God. It was more so of me being an atheist instead of actually learning what God was. And so I probably studied that for a good year or two. I even became a vegetarian, bro. Simply just because off of what I thought was real and what I went through, I thought it was the truth. I didn't believe in the Bible. I didn't believe in Jesus Christ, or I didn't believe in going to church was right. I thought having ancestors and talking to your ancestors was real, and being an atheist was justified. That was what I thought. And so around 2023, I was about 14, and I had just started my clothing brand. And in the midst of me starting my clothing brand, I didn't really have nobody like to mentor me or to tell me about certain things. And I mean everything, business, how to be a man, and just how to navigate in life, especially with faith. So I was kind of alone, and I was kind of in a depressive state. I felt a lot of pressure because I was the only boy in my household. I live with nothing but girls. So I feel like I took on the responsibility to provide, and it was kind of hard for me thinking about it. And so I was just in a depressive state. And I remember it was this one time, it's kind of still sad to think about it, but I always said to people who may think about doing the same thing, I never forget, it was a time where I was in my room, and I wanted to take my life, and truth be told, you can say I was about to do it. And I remember I was signing to my mom's phone, and because I didn't have my own, I was signing to my mom's phone, and she had seen me send like a letter, basically, like to somebody of me telling them I was about to do it. And she seen it on her phone. It popped up, and she came in the room, and she said, Uh, she seen me crying. Let's just say that. She walked in there and she saved me. Um, I never forget that moment. She walked in there and she said, "Son, you okay?" She said, "You know you can talk to me, right?" And I didn't feel like I could, truth be told. I kind of feel like my life was separated from emotional connection. I didn't feel like I always got that emotional. I guess what's the word for it? Emotional nurturing that I should have, that every kid should have. I didn't get that. So when she asked me that, I just broke down crying, and she just was asking me questions and I couldn't even answer. I just cried the whole time, and I got over it. But things kind of started getting better, and I ended up getting myself together a little bit. And as I ended up getting myself together, I didn't realize that was God. I just went on with my life. But that was the first time. It wasn't the first time, but it was probably the most important time in my life where God saved me. Not to even mention all the other times that he saved me through all the circumstances I endured. But that was like the biggest, most important part of my testimony. He saved me from taking my own life. And like I said, I just kept getting better. I thought that, self-improvement was a thing. I didn't think that God played a hand in that because I didn't believe it was a God. And so I just kept going on my life, and then boom, I think I had a moment where I kind of said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I end up losing everything, basically, I end up losing the money that I was making at a young age. And mind y'all, I'm around 14. This was about two years ago. I was around 14, bro. And I lost the money that I was making. I was working at a barbershop sweeping. I lost that job. I was selling candy at school. I stopped doing that. I didn't have enough money to reinvest back into my clothing brand. So I started looking up online side hustles. I didn't make no money off of that. You can kind of say I got lazy. I didn't have no drive. I didn't have no purpose. I didn't have no calling. I didn't understand the importance of impacting people instead of looking at everything for compensation. And I went back into that depressive state. And actually, truth be told, that was around 2024 of this time. And I went back into that depressive state. I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I was a lost soul. And still, I didn't believe in God. I just thought it was me. I thought that I just was cursed, and I just was the person who was going to always be this way. I thought I was going to always be going through something because it felt like that my whole life. You feel me? And so, boom, I discovered YouTube, like actually doing YouTube with my face in the midst of it. And that was around the beginning of 2025. And I started, and it wasn't about like the content that I'm making now. It was more so about self-improvement, helping people become more disciplined, because I know that I had kind of developed those skills a little bit, due to the fact that I had started my own clothing brand and started my own business at a young age. I thought that I was disciplined, and, I was able to talk about these things. And so, yeah, I ended up starting YouTube, and it was simply for the money, to be honest. And as I was just doing YouTube more and more, I noticed that I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And so I would have moments where I would doubt myself and just, like, should I step back and quit? But if I quit, then what else I'm going to do? And I had nothing else in mind. I had no money to reinvest into my clothing brand. I didn't want to work a job. Like, it was nothing. And so I still kept doing YouTube. And the more I kept doing it, I noticed that I was slightly helping people. You feel me? Even if it was one viewer. And so I just kept getting more into it, you know. God wasn't in the midst of it. And boom, I end up going somewhere one time. Somebody I'm close to, they know a pastor. And so he was telling me how we was gonna go to a Bible study. I'm like, all right, bro, we can go to a Bible study. I'm not tripping. I was always open, but I didn't care to even do it myself. And so I went to a Bible study, and I just would listen to that pastor talking. And as I was listening to that pastor talking, I just felt convicted, like maybe I had it all wrong. Like maybe this is the way. And I'll never forget, we went to the Bible study again. And I didn't have my own Bible. I just would listen to them speak. And the pastor gave me a Bible the second time I came. And I left with that Bible. And I just would look at it for months. Like, I stopped going to the Bible study, but I would look at that Bible for months. I didn't even want to go to the Bible study. I felt like the things I had going on was more important. I didn't want to be around nobody. But as I said, looking at that Bible, I just would feel like for some reason I need to read it. And so I just decided one day that I was going to take a chance on it. And I opened it up. And I didn't even know what to read. I just was flipping pages until I found a verse that resonated with me. And it was somewhere in Proverbs. I don't remember specifically, but I know it was somewhere in Proverbs or Psalms. And ever since then, bro, I just been thinking about like God, Jesus Christ. And I'm actually now just becoming even more knowledgeable on it. But it just goes to show God was always there, because he knew that I would come back eventually. Like I said, people can always try to persuade me in a way, but I would never have a time where it's like I don't believe this over Jesus Christ, because I have experienced other things and they just don't hit how this hit. It don't feel how this feel, you know? And man, ever since then, bro, I've been on fire for the Lord. You know, his presence is just all that, man. I can't even get the words out. And bro, that just goes to show you how, like, you gonna always have them moments in your life where you don't recognize because you're going through something, but God was always there for you. And that's all I had to realize, that God was always there for me. You know, I had to realize that Jesus, you know, died for me. That's my savior. You know, I had to realize that. And truth be told, bro, it's more to this story. You know, it's more to my testimony, but I wanted to sum it up in a smaller, you know, video. I didn't want to do too much, but I just wanted to let y'all know, bro, Jesus was always there for me. It just was more about me realizing it, and the things that I mentioned was the way it led me to who I am now and to what I'm doing now, you feel me? Which is making videos about God and bringing people closer to God. He was always there for me, and if you feel like he ain't there for you now, then trust he is. You just gotta have faith and know that your situation won't always be the way it is. Because like I said, I didn't expect it to be the way it is now. But it is though. You feel me? It's the way it is. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but it's the truth, man. And y'all just gotta acknowledge that. I love y'all. I appreciate you for watching this video. Hopefully that was kind of conceivable. Hopefully y'all was able to get what I was saying. It probably sounded a little weird. Because it is, bro. My life is weird. But